What is up, everyone? Hope you guys are having a wonderful time. My name is Ethan. I go by Lord Ethan, and I am an Overwatch collegiate varsity coach of coming up on 7 years here soon. Um, I'll log my 10,000th coaching hour here this year, which is actually some really exciting stuff. So really excited to continue learning and continue passing on the valuable feedback that I've accrued over the years. These wonderful little ideas and principles that help me understand and continue to engage with this game that we all love and celebrate so much. Today we're going to be taking a look at some Genji gameplay. This is actually going to be Lento, aka Lazy Turtle, here in the dregs of Silver 5. We are at the absolute bottom of the proverbial teacup here, looking to understand, just kind of like why we lost this game and what areas to see improvement in. So without further ado, let's see the Genji here. Want to remark first off on the Shuriken connections. They're generally actually pretty good. I've taken a little bit of a look in this replay code, and while that dash is pretty it's just very apparent, right? So you want to be careful as you climb more and more up the ladder, because you are going to climb. You're going to encounter players who are kind of ready for you to do just that. And so while these dashes are like really, really good, you want to make sure that you're not posturing for them, right? And then of course, instead of dashing out into your team, you want to dash up to the height, right? So that you're not going to get caught out there. You want to make sure that you're dashing out to health packs. And be careful, we wander out a little bit into the open there just to get damage onto the Juno, right? And then we greed on her here, right? So this is where we might actually be able to play a little bit safe, right? Or we get that pick, right? So there's no need to greed after this. Overwatch is a game about advantages and disadvantages, right? So once you get these picks, right, then you can probably just settle down, play quiet, right? Let them make their next move, and then you can make your move after that, right? No need to continue forcing pick after pick after pick, because ultimately you guys are winning as long as they're not taking this objective, right? So as long as you're playing in a way that keeps them from being able to take that objective, then you're looking really, really good. So I've liked the activity that we've gotten to see, but I also know that we're going to end up seeing a little bit of greed, and we're going to get checked for it as well. All right, so here we are on the Cassidy, right? We get some really nice damage, but he manages to get a little bit of care, right? Do we have to force ourselves to do this while they haven't moved through the choke, while they aren't on the objective, while they're perfectly set up? And I've been wreaking havoc, I'm sorry, not me, but, Lazy Turtle has been wreaking havoc there in that position for like the last almost 2 minutes, right? And so shouldn't you imagine, isn't it reasonable to imagine that they will have a response for you by minute 2, right? Yes, absolutely. And they were ready for it, right? So you want to make sure that you're always changing up your approach, right? You're kind of a terrorist to them, right? Maybe that term is in poor taste right now, but you're kind of aggressive to them, or belligerent from that position for a little while, and then after that, you've gotten your advantages. Settle down, and let them play into you, and you can go from there. I do want to remark, it almost seems like we right-click only. I really want to see us use the left click on Genji. It helps us poke. It's a really good poking tool, and honestly, you're doing more damage if you're landing more of those kunai, more of those shurikens, because here you can only land one, right? Only one shuriken is going to land unless you're close enough to your targets and you're launching 3 simultaneously, as opposed to if you're launching the primary fire, right? You can hit all three shurikens onto people. So a lot more use of the primary fire, especially to poke. Let's say that you didn't have your Dragon Blade here. You really want to be on a position, right? In a window, on high ground, in a forward position where you can see where they're coming, and you can be building your ult. Right now, what you want to be doing is thinking about how you're going to use your ultimate, right? Because the policy is, if you have it, use it as quickly as possible so that you can build it as quickly as possible, right? And so I would really be ripping the ult here, right? Mizuki's just dropped in front of us with the tank, who I want to be avoiding. I would rather save my deflect and look scary, right? They've just gone for the Ray. This is another really good opportunity to ult, but the good opportunity to ult is before we take all of that damage from Cass. And remember, after we go for the ult, we don't want to be putting ourselves into a position where we're taking a bunch of damage, right? So where we're slowed here is a position where we're eligible to take damage. It's possible we could just climb up to the wall, right? And then either let our support heal us, or we could try to go go for a health pack here, right? That's always an option as well, right? I want us playing as much of the map as we possibly can, right? I don't mind us stopping the objective, right? But that's all that we should be looking to do, right? Is just stop the objective. A pick or two is really nice, but we're greeting at this point, right? We get that dash reset. I think we're a little bit lucky for it, but we have really good opportunizations on the Genji. I also really like that deflect. That's some really nice damage, and we are already 65% to our next blade, which is really, really excellent. So, so far, so good, except we do extend ourselves a little bit. Remember, all that we need to do is just prevent the objective from moving, right? It's not about the picks. It's not about, it's about the pressure, right? And so, anything that you're doing where you're dying on you guys' side of the objective when you really should just be contesting it from your side, from safety, where you still have access to high ground, still have access to health packs, still can get healing and care and attention from your supports, and still have a tank to play behind, right? Those are all the conditions that you want to be playing for. This is a long and lonely walk back from spawn, and you're really the one who imposed it upon yourself, which is the grave misfortune. There's no one else to blame. Primary fire on that Genji. I like that you're on high ground. This is where you should be looking to get, and we're right-clicking. I would just spend, like, a session. Honestly, I would actually just play an Overwatch session, just some quick play, like, without your secondary fire bound on Genji. Just get really comfortable with that primary fire. All right, huge clump of them, so we don't really want to dash into them. That is a lot of ult charge, so you could actually probably, like, get a 5-man dash, and then that's enough to get your blade. You do have discorded target there, right? I like that we're going for poke. Ooh, I don't like that we drop against the Mora. That's a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, so, you know, maybe if we're going to engage, the time to engage was, like, earlier when they were all 5 clumped up, and we might have been able to get, like, a dash reset or, like, get our blade to get the dash reset. But honestly, that's, like, a huge risk as it is. Honestly, at the end of the day, we can probably just let them pass through, do our poke, right? Because when we're 80% to our ultimate, we want to be thinking about how to build our ult as quickly as possible to then use it as quickly as possible, right? And so you're not going to be able to do that when you are dead, right? So so instead, probably just play a little bit patient there and make sure that that you'll be able to build that ult to use it, right? Okay, I don't mind using deflect across the distance, actually. That's interesting. There's a relationship there that exists that we're not going to get into, but we end up using deflect across the distance, and despite all of this cover, left, right, high ground, health pack, we just die main, right? You want to be somewhere, right? My policy is closer to walls, corners, covers. You are never more than 1.5 meters away from your nearest point of cover, and you're always moving cover to cover, right? Ooh, be careful. I have my timer set on 8 seconds. So the fact that we respawn, and then 8 seconds later we're just walking out of spawn, like, gotta get out there. Although I know sometimes I gotta send texts as well. Okay. We should probably be looking to blade here, right? Our teammates are taking damage. We're losing the fight, so either we blade to equalize, or we just, die with the rest of our team. Honor as close to the objective as possible, so that we catch their wave, and then we're going to be setting up for a Dragon Blade this fight. Ooh, but we didn't look for it early enough, which means we ended up getting caught out by their ultimates. Yeah. Remember, the policy is if you have it, use it. If you can't use it, go find a reason to use it. If you can't find a reason to use it, then make a reason to use it. I also want to remark that we walk out the same path as all the rest of our teammates, right? So as soon as our teammates start walking out that door, what is the Moira and the Soldier and the Freya going to do? We're all going to start spamming this door with a bunch of damage, right? So if you're walking out this door, I'm sorry, if your teammates walk out that door, and then red team says, oh, they're walking out that door, we're going to spam with a bunch of damage, and then you're following your teammates, who's going to take all of that damage? Well, it's going to be all of you, right? And so, especially as Genji, Tracer, these squishy characters, right? You want to be really careful about taking damage that you can't justify. And one easy way to not take damage that you can't justify is to not stack on top of your teammates where the damage is going, right? So instead, come out this side, or if you're going to walk out this way, right? Find a way out here. You have your blade, right? So you can just blade and dash up here, right? After Freya goes for her ultimate, right? Be patient. Walk out here, figure out where everyone is, figure out where your team is going, figure out who has a touch on the objective, or if it has to be you, and then after that, go for the blade, because it shouldn't be you, right? Because you have a blade to go for, right? That we're sitting on. Interesting. Lento, I think you're the first metal ranked player that I've encountered in a while, or at least like the bronze, silver, gold range, that isn't using their ult as soon as they have it. That's actually a really good practice that I'm seeing from metal ranked players, that I don't see from high level players. So it's very interesting. You actually have a high level bad habit here in silver 5, right? And it's not to say that it's just a bad habit that you see at the high level that I don't as often see from the low level. Ooh, be careful. They see you standing up there, right? I want us to look at this, right? They literally are just waiting for the doors to open, right? So be careful, be careful. Just sitting here like they're not going to damage you is not viable. They're going to damage you, right? And if Overwatch is about generating your ultimate as quickly as possible, to use it as quickly as possible, then doesn't it make sense that taking damage, which gives them ultimate early in the match, is not ideal for you, because you're giving them their ult, but you're not building ult yourself, right? We keep walking into Freya spam, which is a little unfortunate. And honestly, the way to do that is just, avoid this main choke. Go high ground, jump up here, walk out the window that soldier is going through, dash into hotel, dash onto high ground. You've got lots of options, right? You can speed up, slow down as you need, right? But dashing onto the soldier who's just going to run away from you, staying on the low ground, not being on the high ground, not being near a health pack, right? And honestly, not using our ranges, right? So we could be doing we could be doing left clicking here from safe positions to poke them out and force them further and further back, which will let us play further and further forward, right? Again, we have lots of options here. It doesn't really matter which one we take. We just have to pick one that doesn't involve taking damage that we can't justify and not doing damage that we should be, right? And that's going to be easiest done from angles that we can reasonably control. Do you think that as Genji, you can regulate this choke point? I think with a decent deflect, maybe, right? But that wasn't the deflect that would help you regulate the choke point. Why not just use the wall climb to jump over here and dash across to their high ground and then find an angle, right? That you can use to do meaningful damage on them, again, to force them back, right? If you're doing damage to the soldier and the Freya, right? Do you think that they're going to sit there and continue to shoot your team and your tank as if no one was hurting them? No, they're going to turn to you. They're going to look for health packs. They're going to duck and cover, right? Like the bombs are dropping, it's the 50s, right? No. So you definitely want to be looking for opportunities to apply damage. So far, we're only seeing you play the main choke point, and we really got to open up the map somehow, right? Again, going through the theater, going up high ground, dashing all the way in, jumping up the walls, going through statue, moving through hotel, right? Literally any of these things, right? And now we've gone in, there's a Mizuki ult in our face, right? That nullifies projectiles. Our team has died 99% to Blade, right? Let's go ahead and dash out to regroup with our team, or we can not make any noise and like dash up high ground, or we can hide in here. I don't think that we'll normally get away with hiding in there. Usually teams are pretty good about like figuring out like knowing who died, who didn't die, and they're going to scout you out in the future. So again, just be ready to like dash out over the wall, or just go do it before they find you, because if they find you, you're going to get surprised, right? Instead of them, right? Okay, I don't care for the deflect being forced out of us. The deflect gets forced out of us because we swing really wide here, right? But you're not going to kill anyone with deflect, and you need it for you, right? Your team has engaged, you have Blade, you can't die with it, right? And so the second you lose, you're down your deflect, you won't be able to stay in as aggressively as you would like, and you won't have any means by which to buy yourself time to get yourself to a mega, a safer part of the map, or healing from your supports, right? So you end up being a really unfortunate stagger just because we place too much emphasis on our neutral cooldowns instead of our ultimate, right? Which really we should just be blading out of that building and then deflecting to live during the blade, right? I like that blade. If the policy is, if you have it, use it. I'm glad that you're using it. And while it's not ideal to trade there, and there's probably a couple of different ways that we can play that in the interest of not dying during that ultimate cast, ultimately, I'm just satisfied that you used it. You got a little bit of value off of it. Hopefully you learned a little bit about the scenarios in which you might be able to get away with it or not get away with it. Again, primary fire a lot more. We got to get really comfortable with both firing modes as Genji. You won't be able to rank up to the ranks that you deserve to be in if you aren't mastering every part of these characters' kits. And I really like the mechanical output from our Genji hero here, right, from Lento. And so I think that you could absolutely get to some really nice high ranks with this Genji character. That's a really nice pick, by the way. But we just have to get really comfortable with like all the different parts of his abilities, right? little unfortunate we die with deflect there. We do have it. We can just look back up at the Freya and make sure that we're using that cooldown. Dying with cooldowns in general in Overwatch is a little bit of a no-no there. So, okay, set up with the team. Actually, I wouldn't even set up on the team and like stand on the objective. I would go high ground. I would try to build a scouting profile. I would look to see where people are. Go ping targets. Careful, you're now down your deflect. So engaging with the soldier is really hard. How are you going to fight and win against him without your deflect? Well, you're going to have your soldier nearby, but what do you do when you don't have the soldier, right? And what do you do when confronted by a Moira? You don't have your deflect, or even if you did, it doesn't matter, right? Because you took this duel with Moira after you had already taken damage from soldier. So if Overwatch is a game about advantages and disadvantages, right, then you have just disadvantaged your team by dying after picking their soldier, which was an advantage, right? Just keep the man advantage. Don't force yourself to continue doing so much more, so much quickly, right? All you have to do is get your pick and live, and that's it, right? So after killing the soldier with your soldier, just back off, right? And just play your life, hang out, slow down, figure out where everyone else is, right? You don't want to be engaging onto a Moira who can suck your life out of you through your deflect and who has some really nice options, some really nice counterplay against you while you were at half HP after engaging on the soldier and getting a pick, right? That's why the pick on here is so satisfying, right? You're getting a little bit of revenge, but honestly, you don't need to die to her in the first place, and the easiest way to not die to her is, I'll say the obvious thing, because I've coached this game for almost 10,000 hours, is to not place yourself in front of her to be damaged, right? Especially after establishing advantages for yourself or your team. The field is safer without soldier on it to damage you. So if the field is safer without soldier to damage you, doesn't it make sense that you would also be safer fighting the Moira without the soldier nearby? But the conditions in which you fight the Moira are, when you have full HP, when you're in a position from which you can fight her, when you're at a comfortable range, right? After doing a little bit of poke damage, or when your team is engaged, right? Those are all variables that might help you understand that it's better to that Moira is a good fight there. So here I would just stash out. I think we're a little committed to like hanging out here, and our team is dead. We can just reset, stuff like that. All right, we have our ult. We want to use it. We want to use it this fight. When are we going to use it? What are we going to use it on? Right? We could ult the soldier. We could go for the Freya. We could ult the Mizuki, right? So that he's not able to place his ultimate for whatever our next ult is going to be, right? Your soldier wants to visor, but he doesn't want to visor into Mizuki ult, right? Do you ult the Freya to force her to use her bola? Do you ult the Ramatra to force him to use his ult just to refresh his armor, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, are you ulting to double dash in, right? Are you ulting just to do a little bit of damage? Are you ulting because they have Mizuki ult and literally no other damage that your team does can get through it aside from your blade, right? It doesn't really matter. All we need to do is see you use the ult. And for as long as you don't use the ult, we don't need to dance around out in the middle of the open main either. We can be on height. We can be at corners. We can be at corners and have cover, right? We can be on health packs and controlling health packs. We can be on an off angle trying to get them to look at us so that if they're looking at us, that our team can move through the choke. And we're not getting them to just look at us and stand here and let them shoot us for free. We're getting them to look at us and then we're dashing out, right? Or we're holding up our deflect, or we're saying, oop, follow me, and we're leading up high ground, and then whenever they chase up at the corner, we just two-tap them with a right-clicky here, right? We're doing all kinds of things, right? But not dancing out in the middle of the open, taking damage that we can't justify at a time when it is inappropriate to take damage from targets against whom it is inappropriate to take damage, right? That's a very important part of Overwatch, and that tends to be a little bit higher level. Wow, that Freya really came out of nowhere, and that's totally fine. We want to ult. We still want to ult. We want to ult really badly here. We see that the Mizu is half HP. Our soldier goes for visor. We've been sitting on these ults. We're now going to dump ults, but you had really good opportunities to ult earlier, and now you're left with just an ultimate that isn't really as good. Mizuki has ulted twice in the time that it took us to blade once. One of our big issues here is simply the fact that we aren't ulting. At the end of the day, part of the reason that we use our ults in Overwatch is to move the pace of the game forwards, right? The faster the game plays, the more uncomfortable. Okay, we want to be the ones playing the game faster to make the enemy team more uncomfortable. The faster we can play the game, the less time they have to make their decisions, and the more prepared we'll be to make our decisions. And the way to play faster is to ult and build your ult. Guys, this is going to be the end of the VOD review for Lazy Turtle, aka Lento. Lento, thanks so much for submitting this replay code for examination. I actually really like the Genji right clicks. We just got to make sure that we're aligned very closely with some of these very important principles that I've shared in this video. Go back and rewatch it a couple of times. Share it with all of the Genji mains out there who might resonate with some of these ideas, or some of the high level coaches who might find some of my ideas a little contentious and say, yeah, you could probably afford to do it this way instead. There's definitely a lot of good feedback to be found. Hopefully you found some of the stuff that we talked about in this video a little helpful. Guys, if you're interested in VOD reviews, then feel free to reach out. We can definitely set something up. In the meantime, we're going to be doing this kind of shorter form style VOD reviews where we just kind of rush through and look at the surface level concepts and touch the tip of the iceberg there. Guys, if you enjoyed the content, then be sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you guys can be notified of when we go live. The whole YouTube shebang, and hopefully a little bit of growth on the channel will go a long way towards really getting as many players as we can elevated and recognized, and also the guidance that they're very well entitled to. Although, can't help everyone, unfortunately, unless I have like 100,000 subscribers and we got something really good, strong going. But I don't think the coaching, the Overwatch coaching, is there when it comes to the demand in the economy, which is going to hell anyways. Guys, be sure to show all the early support that you can. I'll be very thankful for it. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Be good to each other. Be fair to yourselves. And I will see you guys again in the next one. Thank you guys so much, everyone. Have a good day.